My mic has been off the entire time. Hi, hello, crap stink. Crap stink, stinking, gosh dang it. Okay. Hi. Let me go over what I was thinking. 1, I need obsidian to make my wife her cool summoner armor. 2, I have stuff on me to do this thing. So I thought we'd just do this thing. Do you have summoning staves on you? Alright. Alright. Let's do that then. Oh my. Okay. That's fine. I can work those from the menu. I can do this, and we can fight the worm to get new stuff for our dungeon to make one underground. 20 fucks? Sure. You should probably split them between me and my wife, though. She said, would it make you feel better if I gave you 20 fucks?
20 fucks?
20 fucks.
From Bird?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You're excited? Oh, no. She responded to splitting them between me and you with naturally. Should I hit the button?
Okay.
Alright. Good luck. The old one's army is approaching. This shouldn't be too bad. Oh yeah, I mean, that's fine. Let's do my summon. Let's do one of, like, these. And one of, like, the... Oh, I don't have enough to do that yet. Okay. Be honest, Bird, not many people get her to feel excited. You should be proud of yourself.
I love you, Burb.
You're a Kazzy favorite. Flame burst rod here? Yes. Okay. You can't what?
Can't cast one yet.
Oh, you got enough gems?
No, I don't have any gems.
Okay, I'm gonna rush the next wave. You ready?
Go.
There it goes. You ever actually played Dungeon Defenders?
No.
Does that even remotely interest you?
No.
That's fair.
I'm not a Defenders type person.
It's a lot like this. Just 3D. It's kind of annoying maps. I don't mind a tower defense. Hero-based is way harder for me. They just expect you to carry your weight more. And I am booty butts.
Booty butt.
I am booty butts.
Booty butt.
I have 9. Can I get a second one of these? I sure can. Costs 10 Ethereum mana. I don't know how much I have. Oh well. Oh, yeah, I have to actually start the next wave, don't I? You ready? You don't have to. I could wait a few seconds. Be fine. Just chucking my flays, but I'm not even using the good one. Like, I could use the... What you call it? The scythe. But so far...
Using my whip.
Yeah, honestly, just chucking my little lightsaber over and over is pretty fun. If monotonous. It's kind of a monotonous fun. Like, it feels good, but man, it's getting old. I wouldn't mind having to give a little bit more of a crap. I stopped pushing anything for a second, and then I got stabbed. What I get? Alright, there's 12. See, Flame Burst is great. What if I put one of these right where they spawn? Yeah. That way they're getting electrocuted and shot. Ready? Oh, you're doing it. Ooh, medals. You like medals. Wyverns. Now we're getting something interesting. Is Well, once flying enemies started showing up, I had a really bad time on the real thing. I didn't play much of it. It got weird. Like, the sequel's out, but they keep making DLC for the first one. And the sequel's like a free-to-play thing, but the first one is a paid game, so the DLC is paid, but the first... It's... I don't know. I don't know what their deal is. It's very different. Like, people prefer the first one, I guess, but the second one is, you know, a free-to-play, so... Gotta support that. I don't know. I can't think of any other game where the predecessor is supported at least as much as its sequel. In terms of monetization, especially. 18 Theory music. Okay. Well, I'm going to put another one, because hee hoo hoo. And it's fun. Alright. Funny haha. Button. Oh, you're hitting the button. Okay. Okay, you can whip it.
What?
No, you gotta click like the base. Right click the base, not the jewel. It's unintuitive. Dark Mage, that's a boss, right?
Yeah.
Is this the end of the easy one? I don't know either. We don't do it enough. But hey, we'll be able to summon our little traps anywhere now, and that's kind of like a... That's actually a really nice prize. I like being able to do that. I don't like Journey Mode. The Defender's Forge actually has a purpose. Is it on your side? I don't know if you've got this, baby. Are you sure? Can you pause it? Oh, oh, this one's mine. Oh. Fleeting Squire's Shield. And a War Table. I forget what War Table does. I think that's the one that gives you more sentries, right? Oh, we won. Good job, baby. Did you get anything fun? Well, this is required. Oh, but I love my pet. Oh. What? What, baby? Talk to me!
You don't see it?
What? Oh, you got Gato too? Really like the fairy, though. The free wood is so helpful on this one.
I made you know.
Yeah. We got the trophy from the Dark Mage, and we got the War Table.
Yeah, I got the Squire's Shield and the Violent Apprentice Spark.
Oh, I only got the shield. Max number of sentries and increases summon damage. That suits your build, right?
Yeah.
Dang. I like sentries too. I might actually stick with that for now instead of the shackle. No offense to the shackle. But the shackle is 5 defense. Ooh. Okay. We're starting to the point where I gotta make me some choices. I don't need the depth meter ever. I'll put the Squire Shield here. I'm gonna take off the depth meter. I'm gonna keep the roads because you have to deal with lava right now. Give me that.
Did you leave your sword down here?
Did I? Yeah, I did. Sorry. That's the one drawback of it, is it's really easy to just kind of drop it places.
I'm a common traveling guy.
Basement range is ass, man.
Devil Horns, Black Power, Sake, Lawn Flamingo,
Sake.
Fake Unicorn Horn, Lifeform Analyzer, Winter Cape, and October.
October? Is that like a,
It is a painting.
Got you.
Okay, put up.
Okay, I have 2 harpoons. I don't need 2 harpoons. We're gonna sell this one. We're gonna put Flame Burst up as a thing I'll actually consistently use. That's right. I'm gonna put this one in my piggy bank. I will use it sometimes. I don't... Let's do this for now. I'm gonna sell this one. I'm gonna put my metals in here. 5 defender medals. Okay.
What botted you?
What'd you get me, baby? Oh, yes. Devil horns. On flamingo. Obviously. And, obviously. I'm gonna sell the spare harpoon unless you're feeling really harpoony. Bam. Okay. Cool. That was. Is that October by the nurse?
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I see you like Oktoberfest. Would you like the Franks and beer? Oh, sausage for you. Oh yeah. Considering anything where you spend enough points and I have to talk in a certain voice for 5 minutes. Little German boy is on the table. Oh my god!
Oh my god, these.
We have to fight the big warman.
The big one. Oh my god, these munching crunching.
He's munching crunching. I repeated your joke. It made me laugh. Oh my god! Fucking love me some little German boy.
German boy. Munching crunching.
What's up?
You have two red.
I have what?
No!
What?
The water slowed me down.
You fool! Oh boy, a tin can.
Tin can.
A tin can.
I'm so excited. I have a fish.
Bird says she has over 16,000 points. So.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, I could talk so much time like the German boy. I mean, I'd be like the Wheel of Voices, but like I'd do some Fred Burger. I could attempt Pinkie Pie, but I might kill myself in the process, vocally speaking. Fred Burger, Fred Burger, Fred Burger, Fred Burger. I like fishing. Fishing gives me treats. I like treats. I got another tin can. It was delicious. Yum.
Not so loud, you're scaring the baby.
It's Fred Burger. It's not quiet.
Well, you're scaring the baby. I'm not like Fred Burger.
Fred Burger is a lot like Torbeck, where it's just not a quiet. Torbeck is not a quiet vocalization.
I don't have any bait.
Sometimes Torbeck feels the need to scream as loud as he possibly can. I feel like I'm off tonight.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Torbeck is interested. Yes, fish for your sword, Sarah. That'll bring it back. Genius. Sometimes. Other times I'm a sarcastic genius.
Most of the time you're just a dumb genius.
A dumb genius.
Yep.
Finally, a new username after all these years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, cheeseburger. I mean, there's other voices, but some of them might get me banned from Twitch and the neighborhood, so I can't do that one. Senpai?
No.
Please, Senpai. Give me what I need.
Yeah, we need lava.
Lava. Need lava. Okay, I'll go get some lava.
I need the bucket.
I have no bucket. Where'd I put the buckets?
Oh, I found the bucket.
You found the buckets. Just another day for Torbeck.
Oh.
Tin cans extracted into apprentice bait. That's crap. Worms are better. I'm gonna sell it. No, I don't want you. Buy my bait. Oh. Oh wait, it was 99 cents. It was a rock lobster. I have to hear surfing bird one more time. Okay. Put this in my piggy bank for future needs. Yes. Whee! You have the buckets?
I have the buckets.
Alright.
Just harvesting this big group that's hanging out right by this pond. I got, oh my god!
Oh my god!
These slimes are slimy limon.
These slimes are sticky picking. Stickin' picking.
Open shopping.
They're glooping glopping.
They're open shopping.
Oh my god! These worms are committing suicide.
These slimes are open shopping. By that one.
Hoppin' sloppin'. Oh, you like the hoppin' sloppin'? Little German girl likes the hoppin' sloppin'.
German girl. Little German boy, thank you.
Yeah, you sound like a little Russian spy right now. I can't do Russian spy, that's all you.
Oh,
What if I found 2 mimics? Would you still love me?
did you fight them?
They were literally on top of you. They were just in the dark so you didn't see them. Hermes boots? We already have that, but like, there it is. Wait, this isn't a mimic. Do we have a gold key? No.
No.
Damn. Sorry, Mr. Slime. You live there now.
No!
What?
Fucking Mushroom Boy killed him outside of the lava trap. Rope on you.
Buy some. There you go. Does that help? Thank Mr. Bones. And
Mr. Bone.
the pile of money that you gave me earlier. Oh my god, my wife is giving me blingin' thingin'. I'm loaded.
Okay, because you're hanging around out there, I can't get anything to spawn down here.
Okay, I come to you and we stab the lava mans. Sorry, Mr. Box Slime, I do not have the key. We need to go fight the worm, but my wife is busy with... I mean, I could fight the worm myself, I guess. Hello? Oh, that one seemed oddly sexual. I'm sorry. It's me, little German skank.
Oh no, she's skanking wanking.
Oh, skanking wanking with her leggings spreading.
Oh no.
Oh no, there's a bat. Okay. Oh yeah, I have this button. You them.
Don't kill them over there, no.
Oh, don't. Shouldn't do
I
that.
need the lava.
Quick, use your bucket. Do I need to dismiss my summon too?
No, not so
Oh,
much.
this is gonna be rough. Okay. Oh, I dismissed it and it stayed alive. I don't know what to do with that. Uh-oh. It didn't go away when I said go away. I don't know what to do about that.
Right click it.
I did. I've done everything you're supposed to do to make it stop. Oh my god. No, little German boy.
No,
Don't-
little German boy, don't fall into the lava trap.
Don't go into the explicit hooters. Oh my god!
Yikes.
Uh-oh. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh god. Okay. Was that you exploding? Genuinely terrifying. Thank you. No! 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 My rope! No! Jesus, this shit's annoying. How's your lava going? Oh, you're wanting obsidian for your thing.
Trying.
Yeah.
I need more rope.
Oh my god.
Can't reach the lava. Like, I don't have enough rope.
I have an idea. Hold on, I have an idea. Ow.
Ow, ow.
My breast. See if you can reach the lava that way.
Oh.
Oh my god. I've created a problem. Stop shooting him, you fool! Okay, now shoot him. Thank you. You're the exploding children. Imps really don't drop anything? Depression. Worth it. Baby. Your Junimo is tomato soup.
What?
Your Junimo is soup.
Oh, my chicken was hanging out right there.
In the soup.
He's not in the lava.
Mine's in... On my end, it's in the soup.
Mine's not in the lava. We need more rope.
Oh, the money melted. Not all of it, though.
The what melted?
The money. There's a big pile of money in the lava, and it's gone. Alright, I'll go fix it. Hold on.
Lost your store.
Sorry. That took a minute. Right on. Got an ancient iron helmet. Torbeck needs rope. Torbeck needs to dig down into his soul. To find the truth of who Torbeck really is. Hey, tell me if this works.
Yes.
Wow, that did not used to.
What?
I am at the house. It did not used to go that far. That's kind of impressive. Like, honestly. Chopping.
Okay, I got a bunch of lava. I got more.
Now we just need a way to turn it into obsidian. What? What?
Enemies down there drop hellstone.
You got hellstone?
I have
When?
3 hellstone on my person.
I didn't get any fucking hellstone. How'd you get hellstone?
I don't know. Something dropped hellstone.
Shit! Okay.
Gotta go down. I'm going down.
Wait, help me get the worm. You know what? Okay, how do I make the worm thing?
Vile powder,
Mm-hmm.
which we have a shit ton of,
Shit ton of.
and rotten chunks.
Ah, yes. Pieces of my father. No.
I need the obsidian to make my stuff.
Yes, you do. And for sand. So you are an obsidian queen right now. No one obsidians like you, girl. If I were the vile powder... There it is.
There's a bunch of it.
I know, I'm just finding the powder in chunks. A sentence that sounds really strange, but is the truth. Remember, if you leave a little middle one...
I know.
Okay. It's a 2-for-1 deal. It's
Wait.
It's free real estate. What?
Don't do it without me.
Sandstorm! Tumbleweeds! Bring them on, whores! Cenax's tooltip says axing the real questions. Apparently just being assailed by flying antlions. I don't know if they give us anything. They're there. Oh look, another sickle. I'll never have enough sickles, so...
Just sold 9.
Yeah. We get a lot of them.
You go on it, and I am scum.
Mankind ill needs a savior such as you. Money. This means there's a blizzard in the snow. It might be worth checking. Do you think the snow has anything that drops in a blizzard that could help us? I'm gonna go look. Eventually, if I can run. There we go. Oh, the corrupt torches look pretty at night out here. Is that normal, or is that something about how we built it? Maybe I'm just crazy. Blizzard? Nope, just gorgeous lights in the sky, obscuring the moon slightly. Is it bad if the northern lights up there make me want to make an ice area for Slime Forest just to try and make that effect?
Yes.
An excuse.
Baby.
Yeah.
That game is so bloated already.
Your mom is bloated.
And she's dead.
And she's nasty.
But she's a bitch and she's nasty.
Bitch and nasty. Worm food. You got a new patron? Is this someone we know? Gasp! What blew me up? Hi. I made the worm food. We can find it right here, I guess.
Oh, I got it.
In my pretty corruption I made. Anything interesting happening here? Alright, fuck it then. Fun way to fight antlions. Don't they have teeth or something? I don't know, whatever. I'm not getting anything.
Drop mandibles.
Mandibles!
Mandibles!
Mandibles! You know what else
Yeah,
has
they drop mandibles.
man nipples? You know what else has man nipples? Amazon too. Aww. Imagine. Wait, can I throw this out? Like, if I do that and I switch to this, does it stay out? That's stupid. I love it. Yes, lure it into the death blade. It's not dying fast enough. Again! Again!
Get dungeon stuff?
I don't know. Sometimes you just do shit to have a good time. You know what I mean? Listen to the sound of chicken torture. That ought to make you happy, baby. Oh, it's also raining meteorite?
That's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, no, it's raining meteorite.
Alright.
Not me.
That was not you.
You didn't drop any stuff this time.
No.
They fixed it! No!
That might mean we don't have a functional dungeon. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. There's got to be something about that we can do. I gotta put the wall, but apparently height matters even though it's the right wall. Like, listen, man. I'm sorry I suck ass. there's a way to get more?
Look at that.
I might have to, actually. I might have screwed us otherwise. I mean, we can progress. We just don't have dungeon mobs. Which is going to be real rough when we need ectoplasm, which I think mostly affects you.
Yeah.
So, it's not vital, but it is extremely helpful. And we can get bones. I keep getting hit by rocks falling from the sky. Yay, my teeth. Good thing I put this nice and close and not over a precarious bridge of death. What are you doing tonight, bird? You're the one that talked so far. You're the VIP.
VIP!
VIP. Very important
VIP.
peacock.
Very important bird.
I'm kind of upset about the order of operations here. Because if I had played the Journey World dungeon first, I might have realized way before I fucked up how that music was going. Alright, I need shut this door. What? What's gonna do? Wait. There we go. Ah, keep me safe while I wiki this. Okay. No other special or secret world seeds are enabled world journeys to islands, spawn, and shimmer. Yup. Oh, shimmer is at the same elevation as us, no matter what. It's just on the far left or right. Okay. It is not enough shimmer to make an aether biome. Oh, that's interesting. If you have For the Worthy active, you do not get the shimmer biome. Hmm. Okay. Dungeon. Eater of Worlds and Brain of Cthulhu. Drop 5 to 600 dungeon bricks from cursed dungeon walls each time. There are no dungeon bricks or ancient dungeon bricks placed in the world, allowing an artificial dungeon to be built. If no dungeon bricks were found, they will drop the dungeon tiles. Alright, cursed dungeon brick walls. The drop besides when destroying can also be obtained via crafting, and they are considered safe walls when placed by the player. There are a total of 9 different variants. Types. The type of brick wall present in an area affects the spawning of the new enemies in hard mode post-Plantera dungeon. It determines which enemies are most likely to spawn in the area, matching the wall type. have an approximately 90% chance to spawn, whereas other enemies only have a chance of 5. Interesting. So slab and brick all have different enemy types. I didn't know that. That's weird. Makes my hodgepodge interesting. Shimmer transmutation can turn cursed into normal, or vice versa? Okay. Cursed dungeon will allow creating artificial they place unsafe dungeon brick walls. Must be in front of cursed dungeon walls underground and close to at least 250 dungeon bricks. Fuck. Okay. There are things we can do about it. It entails I tear this down. That is really annoying. Okay. Well, who wants to start singing the yakety sax to embody the spirit of the moment? Man, I don't want to do all that. Okay. Would it be worth it to go back and make a meteor pickaxe?
There's no meteor.
There's not a meteor pickaxe? Oh, no. Torbeck is going to die now. And, okay. I don't know. Did you come at a bad time? Ask your wife. I punch your dad in the dick. Hello and welcome to Sarah Gets to Tear Down the Freaking Dungeon.
I don't even have a pick that can do that.
Gold.
I'm still using the bone one.
It's not fast. Yeah, you told me, but I was already like halfway done and I didn't have enough bricks anyway, so what good does it do me? I love you, but it was, in fact, too little too late.
Hey, what do I do with this obsidian that you wanted me to get?
You use it to make your summoner outfit. At the loom, using shadow scales and, fabric, I believe.
Oh, it's down there with that. Oh. I might. I might just bust the tears out. Boring.
heard it once or twice. Oh!
You like some help?
I would like all kinds of help. I should probably go see a therapist right now. I'm still trying to get over the internet common etiquette joke last night. I'm sorry. That one was actually quite funny. I handle my grief through masturbation, which is why I'm not allowed on BetterHelp anymore. Wow. Alberry. I just gotta channel a little bit of that old Bub and Bob energy. How is solar tonight? Aside from being assailed by a terrible pun. As is my mission. In all times. So just so you know, baby, it periodically checks the world to see if there's dungeon tile. If there's no dungeon tile placed, it will then decide to give them up. But I don't know how often that is. It is when it is first loaded, and every so often otherwise. Now, in theory, we could also just keep going out and find the shimmer and hope to God that that lets us revert these to cursed. Mild headache, but surviving. I feel ya. This blows.
I'm coming. I'm just trying to get stuff.
Oh no, I'm just conceptually this blows. Everything about this blows. Hey, we have a goblin, right? You should buy and bring me a tool belt. That would have been super smart of me to grab. Oh, okay. Serenade's chips or something. Oh, look, they're right here. Nice, nice. Oh, pretzel these. I'd rather have that, actually. That sounds great. Hey, Milo. I don't think you'd like them. That might be too many. Huh? They smell good? Here. Today's the day. Maybe? Goodbye, Reese's. Hi, Lizzie. Welcome to Sarah Fucked Up and has to tear down the dungeon. How are you? Oh, apparently my sword comes back to me after a set amount of time. That's good to know.
And we're about to fight a game.
Thank you very much. There, you can have this back for now.
This is where the old man will spawn.
We already have him.
What's the detriment of moving the dungeon?
None. It's annoying, mostly.
Oh my god, this is so slow.
Yes. Yes.
Where?
Maybe.
I'm gonna go home and get some sticky bombs.
Okay.
But I think we have to do that.
Just got back from spending too much money at Daiso on Long Men and HK Mart. I don't know what that means, so I'm assuming that
Daiso is like a
Japanese... Okay, what's the Long Men then? Because it sounds to me like you bought some prostitutes. And it doesn't help that you do have reputation as server size queen, so...
There. Apologize.
No, she's gonna laugh.
Apologize.
I'm sorry I made you laugh so good.
Serenade.
What? For what? No, I don't. You made me wrong. She's pos laughing. I did nothing wrong. Hashtag Sarah innocent. But not that kind of innocent, no. No. No, no I don't. Been there. There for a long time. It's very alienating to be that innocent.
See this work, move.
But the wall. Use it over there. On the big dump. Oh. Yeah, it worked.
Oh, it only works on the wall.
Oh.
Doesn't work on the brick?
Oh.
Ew.
That sucks. The wall's the easy part because I have the Meteor Ham Axe. If I didn't want that response, I would have said spent too much money on Daiso on snacks. That was her feedback. She was baiting me. She was baiting me into saying she likes big dick.
Well, I'm just, you know, fucking up all over the place today.
You're not fucking up all over the place. Stop it.
Apparently, I make really shitty comments.
That is not what he meant by that, unless there was a clarification I missed. Oh my god.
I vote we take down most of this, leave some left so that we can just drop a rope, go down to the dungeon layer, and pick up building from there.
The problem is we can't just build. None of these walls are cursed now. They won't work.
But we have to find a shimmer.
We basically have to tear this down and either find the shimmer and hope that curses them, or wait for the check to run again to replace the entire thing. It checks if there's walls in the world. If we do not have dungeon walls up, then it will spawn more from the worm. It's pretty dog shit.
I hate you right now.
I hate me too, baby.
Need a soda. Need something to get through this.
Bullet.
I'm thinking more like alcohol or pot.
Mountain Dew or diet?
Dude.
Where's the weed?
My backpack.
Oh. Oh, you have your
I
backpack.
don't know where
You don't know where your backpack. Sorry, what if you don't like being to be successful? You always know where your backpack is. It's literally right. All open, you.
My hands are busy.
So put something down and get the gummies.
Meow.
Meow. I'm open and vulnerable. And I've got the protect us button. See? Boom. Oh, just the explosion. God, my inventory is full.
So much. I hate you so much. So sober.
Didn't fuck you over. I'll fuck you over.
Because now I have to help you do this.
You don't have to do anything. You can walk away and scream la 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 la, screw you, jerk it, jerk it.
But I'm nice.
I know, but that doesn't mean you have to. It just means you're nice. These are completely different problems. I'm sorry you're so nice, baby.
You know what? I'm gonna go work for Hellstone.
Someone call you because I said jerk it, jerk it? Is that what you mean? I'm confused.
Mom is headed our way.
Mom is headed our way with hamburger meat.
But
So I can make the pasta later. Probably tomorrow. You want pasta for dinner tomorrow, baby? Huh? What? Why are you mad? What are you? You wanted pasta tonight? Is that what it is? You wanted pasta tonight? I made you a whole pizza, but you want the pasta instead?
natural.
I'm not getting on your ass. If anything, that's going to make me get on your ass to eat more pizza.
Who wants more pizza?
But you just said it's National Pizza Day. Oh my god, the rainbow sword, the light changes color with the sword. That rules. Colored light. Minecraft.
Freak it out.
My brain was really expecting you to say hot for some reason. It's like, oh. Goth nurse.
Hello, Calvin the dog. I want to talk to your Bobo friend.
Is there any new NPCs with the update?
No,
Oh.
which is stupid.
What about new shimmer forms?
So,
I want a hot goth nurse. Time to get the mods done. Time to make mods. Hello. I'm gonna make a hot goth nurse mod. Who's ready?
that's
Haha, that guy exploded. Haha, that guy exploded for different reasons. Yeah, Liz, goth nurse. All I gotta do is make the sprites and figure out how to mod Terraria. To make my own new, unique change to the shimmer. I'll call it the dimmer. And it turns NPCs goth. Ooh, or it happens when you try to paint an NPC black. That'd be funny. There's just a pile of shackles over here.
come get me. Come get me.
I thought I had a big old pile of dirt. Where's my dirt? Am I blind? I'm Cloud. Oh. Yeah, the dirt's all over there still. Alright.
Demons drop Hellstone.
Demons drop Hellstone. Got it. Frustrating. Okay. At least I got the higher reach now. That helps. But, man. I'm amazed you can't dye the wedding dress. So weird.
Ooh.
Oh. Did I eat my sword to hell? I'm trying to summon it and it's not coming back, so... I don't know where it is, but it's very gone. Considering how things are constructed, there's a non-zero chance it is literally off the bottom of the world just falling. Why have I been pinged 5 times? What is going on in Arcane that we're pinging 5 times? That's got a minute left. Sorry, dudes. I'm closing that. I'm busy. I'm streaming. I gave you my defense. Oh, I'm here. In the world.
That's what you said.
I messed up, Ma.
Hi, Kate.
No.
I'm There's your kitty. Mine. It's a kitty. Porky.
Hanging out with my squirrel hook.
Oh, I don't smoke anything good. Unfortunately, could I be scared? I don't know. It's got big dark eyes. Those pretzel peanut butter things?
Yeah, they're full of Reese's peanut butter. Would you like one?
I just want to hug my son before your father makes me sick.
Oh. Love you too.
Even if you are crunchy. Crunchy guy. Crunchy munchy.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Mom, I'm in hell. Literally? Literally. Let's see. Oh, you need more planes flying everywhere in there, man. Hellbats. People screaming and crying and stuff.
We scream and cry a lot down there. Thank you very much.
Turn up some volume. I want to hear us screaming and crying.
Oh no, it comes from us.
It comes from us.
But right now I have the thing that makes me gobble like a turkey when I get hurt. Or is it the chicken?
Are you in there too?
I'm a chicken right now.
Are you in there too?
I'm up. I am way up
You're
here.
in higher level of hell?
I'm up here, and she's way down here in hell.
Oh.
We're playing Skyblock, so the world doesn't exist. Everything is empty except for wherever we start, and we have to build everything. And I built our dungeon in a dumb spot, and now I gotta tear it all down very slowly.
You need more fire. Maybe a dragon. A dragon would be good. One that blows out fire.
I mean, fire is all well and good.
Chew on people's legs and stuff.
Oh.
I could dream up all kinds of fun torture things.
I mean, I could do this. There you go. There's your fire.
What's that thing floating there? What's that?
This?
Yeah.
That's a ghost.
Huh. They kill the ghost?
No, the ghost is my
Ghost is a
summon.
friend.
It is?
Yeah.
Yep, it kills things for us.
It's from a different game. I don't something about Don't Starve. And I've got a little fairy that cuts trees for me.
I know, be nice.
Kazzy is bad at the floor is lava. Wonder how you died. Oh my gosh.
Oh, so we got the tree all chopped up.
I'm almost
Well,
done.
that's good. I'm glad.
I've almost
Bunch of it.
done it.
Here, come out tomorrow. Keep up the rest of it.
Okay.
Moss everywhere.
Okay.
Can you
Ooh.
put it on the composting?
Which thing's the mood? I said a lot.
I'm gonna put it
Oh no.
down.
Oh, this is even more annoying. No.
Try to get it.
You're the worst at Where's Waldo.
That's when they let you burn. We still haven't had a burn day. Really, when it rains, the air is too
Traveling merchant.
stagnant to give us permission. But usually, in the
I'll
spring,
tell you what, getting to hell's faster than getting here, so.
Burn day, it's pouring down rain outside. Okay, we can get our burn pile started.
Tinder, I guess.
Then, I don't know. I've been collecting dryer lint and stuffing it in a little toilet paper roll.
Oh,
Smart.
Ramming it in there. I saw that on Facebook.
should have problems.
I've got a few of those saved up. The pastor was just telling me today, hey, I tried it. I got ball of dryer lint.
This isn't precarious and frightening.
Started
No.
toilet paper rolls. Ooh, that's it is real tight. Take it back to fire.
It's raining money.
Thank you for bringing us Tinder.
The pasta.
Oh, I guess I'll go back to the church. Back.
You left a crater?
I fell down.
Off the bottom or something?
I fell from the second platform to the bottom.
Hmm.
I couldn't catch myself.
Did
fast
you
enough.
bust any?
I thought you used to be able to walk on the bottom. Oh well.
I didn't bust anything, but I did fall down and die.
Yeah, she didn't break everything, just all of it.
Just died.
I just
Yeah.
died.
She just evaporated. That's not technically breaking. My stupid sword is in hell again.
It's okay.
No, okay, so it falls through platforms. It does not stick to platforms. So if it tries to land on a platform, it will instead plummet all the way down to the bottom of the world and then assumedly just keep going. So when I try to summon it back, it's like, and it takes about an hour. You have Hermes boots, right?
Yeah.
Selling.
We love you, Mom.
I love you too.
Apparently all the dungeon blocks got stashed. He's selling Dynasty Wood, babe.
Does this help you with your game?
Yes. He's also selling a Fez if you're into that. And Goblork ears.
Give your mom a hug.
I got a hug already.
I can give her another hug. I don't want. Come here.
I got a crunchy hug.
Get a less crunchy hug then, you whiner.
Man.
Yeah,
The
man.
whiner.
Man.
You're the whiner.
Man.
I learned all
Man.
my whining from you.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Well, you never whined a day in your life. Then I was born, and you're like, oh, this thing, it knows how.
Crunchy kitties in his bed.
Is he soup?
He might be in the box. That was the ramen box, and I've decided that's their new bed. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we've got this and this. I can sell the arm.
Mom, I have treats over here if you want to give him some.
Treats?
Yeah, I have.
Did you want me to buy some of the Dynasty wood, baby?
Yes.
Do you want the shingles at all? How much wood do you want?
Oh, here comes my luck.
I got you 777 wood.
Nice. I feel like that's a lucky number.
Yes. There you go.
Oh, I got 3 pets in. They didn't even bite my face off.
You didn't bite your face off.
Pick it up.
Gene, alright. Well, I get to go farm that crap now. It's gonna be a while though. I don't know.
Love you guys. I love you too.
Love you too, Ma. Oh yeah, it rained meteorite earlier. It's everywhere.
Be safe. Drive carefully.
I will.
Milo. Oh my goodness.
You want to do a lap gathering meteor? I went left. I haven't gone underground yet. Lord knows there's going to be more down there. No.
Oh.
Was I supposed to have us
I
muted?
don't know.
I told her what I was doing. Oh, snowstorm. Yes, I put the burger in the fridge. I put the steaks in the freezer. For Valentine's, yeah, she got us 2 little steaks.
2 little steaks?
I mean, they're good enough steaks. We'll eat steak.
Are they big steaks or little steaks?
I don't know. What's a big steak? Yeah. Suppose. Sounds about right.
Oh, I should get rid of that food bowl.
Snowstorm spawns nothing. All right, screw it.
Hard mode.
Well, it's not like a blizzard. It's just snow. I just hoping, you know. I keep hoping we'll get snow to go with our eyes without having to go for a whole thing. But I'm working on it actively. Also farming rotten chunks, so we can have some rotten chunks, because we need rotten chunks to do anything else, so I need rotten chunks. Stupid sword back yet? Oh, thank God. That's 6 rotten chunks. What?
Phone service dropped a hot dog down into the ether.
Hot dog go down the hole? Hot dog no come back. That's depressing, love.
Help me fight off the Heldies.
No.
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 Fine, all the hellstone is mine.
I'm kind of busy doing other stuff. Trying to correct my sins and all that. It's a whole stupid process here. Congrats on that 100th lava slime, though.
The ones that explode. The slimes that explode drop hellstone.
There's slimes that explode? Excuse me?
There's like big old lava slimes that like look like they're like on fire. And,
I
like,
have
burning.
never seen one of those. Alright.
Like they're fizzing or something.
Well.
Milo. Milo. Get down.
Son, child. Creature.
Milo, James.
Get down! I am going to eat you. Arr! Delicious cat. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Tastes like flesh and fur. Gamey. Ugh. There you go. Enjoy that. me trying to walk. Mine certainly do. Something has to be getting eaten or they don't care. Be it them or the treats they're about to get. Something will move them involving food. They actively are just like, well, mom's disabled. She won't come get us, so I have to come get them every time. They won't listen to her. Because they're dicks. That's true. He does listen when you whistle at him.
Do that on.
Thank you. Kind of low-key drives me up the wall, too, so. It's an effective way to summon the cat, but it is stim bad. Oh, crap. Hi, sorry, I just punched everyone in the face. Was that good for you? Did it fall up the world?
No,
What did it do?
but there's a voodoo demon with a doll, and there's lava under him, and I don't know if he's coming along. Dead. But
I'm sorry this happened to you.
I think that. Or, no.
Could harvest some of those. Could harvest some of those.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Ah. That kind of situation, then. Kate, I told you I'm doing other shit. Like, I'm trying to fix the dungeon problem. It's not my fault you've run off to do something else and skip a step. It's skipping a step. What's your armor right now? Okay.
Get this step.
Okay. What's your summon? Mushroom Boy? Yeah. Working on a lot of this right now. Sorry. I'm bored of this. I'm gonna go somewhere else. I was trying to get the stuff to make the worm again, but it's just the meat. The chunks are tedious.
Literally lava slimes and the hell slime.
Let's see.
The hell slimes drop hellstone. They take significantly more to this. Nope.
I'm working on it. Give me a minute. Picking up the meteorite that fell now, and then I'll be on. Well, let me rephrase. I'm very, very sick of farming worms. Eaters or whatever. So you will see me soon. I'll take the dirt.
Hey, nurse lady. Stop getting stuck up there.
I want the dog. Got 2 mushroom grass seeds. Putting those in there. God bless my normal cats. Excuse powder can go in here for now, or whatever. Vial powder, fine. We got ropes for days. I'm gonna put this in storage and run that way, see what we can find. Should gather up whatever's left of the meteorite on the ground, and we'll go from there. That's that. There. 74 meteorite to the right alone, and I did the left earlier, so there's a good chunk. Hi. What am I doing?
Dying.
Like that? That kind of dying?
Not easy down here.
Just trying to make it so it wouldn't burn the rope every time.
Just use a wormhole.
Eh. Those are still pretty rare. I like to save them for a time when I'm not just going straight down. Barkeep got. Oh yeah, we could do Underground City now. Oh. Go sword. Nailed it. Hello.
See this guy?
Yeah.
That's slime drop also.
Okay. I don't have wings. That's what's throwing me off. I've been playing Journey. There. That should protect the rope. Hopefully. From anything that's not an extreme problem. I take it you decide you're done gathering lava.
Voodoo demon, voodoo demon.
Hot dog, hot dog. Hot dog! I got the hot dog. And lots of blink for it, actually. Holy crap. I don't have my rose on.
Okay.
I need my rose on. Whoa! The hell was that? It's fun. Come below my death hole! Death hole! Death hole! Death hole!
What's your demon side?
Death hole! Masterful demon side.
And superior.
I think masterful is specifically for magic. Thank you, though. Superior is good. Yeah. That's pretty good. I don't know if it's the best, but it's definitely magic specific. Am I helping?
Did I get spoken?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Good catch, Sneeze. Cat sneezed. Uh-oh. It's raining death! Holy shit, bitch, it's raining death! Oh shit! Hi. I was, playing some unintentional bullet hell over there. It is very lava-y down here. Hello. Anything good? Saw that. Where is it? Hello? Everyone. I got your hot dog for you. You're welcome. I love you. Oh my god. Oh my! Well, Liz is here now, and she's the point spender. Hey, Lizzie. Birds seem to enjoy the thought. What about I have to speak in a certain voice for an amount of time? Something like the Wheel of Voices, but you get to pick. I don't know if I try to, like, have a defined list, or I just... Whatever you give me, I gotta do my best. I don't know. Some sort of direction, like, I need you to be a creep. I got her to shudder immediately, so I must be doing something right there. I can make it kinda creepy.
Stop it.
Like that.
I said stop.
She does not like that. She hates that. What is that triggering in you? Like, what is that reminding you? Like, oh no. I sound like your ex? Australian Tim? Oh my god. I don't think I could do the accent. I'm trying to get over the... You'd be what? Because that sounded like friggin' Cartman almost. Ew. Ew, I prefer my idea of Tim. Just weirdly nasally. Yo, points. Corgis? Corgis and points? Points and corgis? Ooh, mind that. Don't do it! Don't do it! Bitch! I did it. I got the voodoo doll. Torback?
What's the point, Matt?
Liz wants me to talk like Torback? Oh. Okay. I'll do that for a little bit, I guess. At least I'm getting attention instead of being left in the dumpster.
What was that?
I don't know what that one was. That might have been Streamlabs taking its sweet time catching up. There's a mimic? Is it above? I'm looking down here. I see no mimic. I'll look around. You stay where it says mimic, and I'll find the mimic. Going up. I'm going up to find the mimic. Hello? Is there a bad thing here wanting to eat me? I hope you make it count. Orbeck would hate being eaten now that he's found a whoopee cushion.
You got a whoopee cushion?
Yeah, I found a whoopee cushion.
You can fart on command?
I can... Orbeck can fart on command. This was stupid. This was stupid. There goes one gold. I was trying to... I did not put my mirror in the right spot. Oh! At least Torbeck still has this. How loud was I like? All right. Torbeck landed with a very large splatter. Gideon laughed. Oh, I can make it worse, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Should I do it, baby? Should I combine the whoopee cushion? Fart in a jar. Guarding
We
furniture.
have 76 hellstone bars.
Nice.
Get first dibs.
Okay, come on down.
No, don't fart on me.
We're gonna die. Torbeck doesn't understand why people say he's stinky.
Here.
Yeah. Fabled mushroom staff.
Well, they didn't update the sprite for the imp?
Yeah, no, not really. What's that? You did notice the difference from normal imp though? Tarback is Tarback. I'm falling apart, guys! Okay. I would love to dye this attire. We have negative dye. I could wear a black dress. Works for me, dog. Best viewers, streamboo.com. Best viewers, streamboo.com. Best viewers at streamboo.com. Sponsor me. I won't get banned by me. Give me money. Then we'll talk. Best very real not chat GPT viewers at streamboo.com. A real website you hear people talk about for reasons that aren't just them being spammed in chat. Yes, come pay for people to watch you. That's how this is supposed to work. Be so desperate for attention that you make us watch you for your money. Did someone give you $2? Think about it. It could be the other way around. Ugh. Yo, Babs. That can be slang for titties. Ah, slime jumped down the hole. Oop, guys. Give me your
If you come to me, I have presents.
presents.
Present.
Presenting my ass. Where you at?
Oh, Papa. Another goblin.
That's pretty good. I lose movement speed though. Ooh. Alright, I gotta hold that for now. It's 2 extra defense, but I lose movement speed. I get melee and crit. Okay. Not right now, but very much noted. I think that is the next set I want. But for now, back to the mission. I fart now when I double jump. That's the upgrade I did. Apparently it also has a little bit of extra up, so I guess I can really just squeeze them out. Get that. Oh! Get that extra bit of uppies. Oh my gosh, I'm slipping and sliding. Whatever we want, I suppose. I was slowly gathering rotten chunks so that I could do the worm again, but we have to wait until we know for sure that it'll... Oh! Okay. Well, you can go see if they got anything unique you want to buy. Nice. That solves that, then.
monster meat.
Nice. I found another sickle. Does that do anything for you?
Oh look, Chris is with us.
You get the pig or something? Oh yeah, that's why I had to unequip the monster meat. I had it on briefly earlier and I took it off. So it's like, I don't want to think about that right now. Good job murdering that drippler. I got another raincoat. Don't. It's depressing. It makes you confront grim realities about your life and your feelings about things that are conflicted and frustrating and poopy.
His court date is
I thought it was the 8th. Man, they should really pick one and stick to it.
due.
Okay, well, I thought it was the 8th of last month the first time.
Yeah, and then we did it for 2 minutes.
I don't know what that means.
The court was closed, so they pushed off all the court cases.
You think they would have known the court would be closed ahead of time? All right.
Court does what the court wants.
Man.
Getting time served.
Got another wedding dress. Sure, it only works with, like, invert or change your shade slightly, but hey, God forbid you want a colorful dress in, like, the wedding pattern. So I have an inverted dress, so it's black with a weird silver lining.
You?
Yeah. I bought inverted dye from the dye trader.
When?
About 10 minutes ago. That's what it does. Do. Do. Do, 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 do. Big ol' wieners. Big ol' wieners. My sword went to EVDB again. Like some things are just not responding to me, man. This chase scene sucks. Oh my god, imagine if you hit something. You. Big pile of money. Big pile of money in cash. Big pile of money. It's getting brighter all of a sudden because I guess it's a full moon at high noon, but it's midnight. Am I crazy? Oh, did rain stop or something? I'm paying attention.
Tony Rotten Charleston.
I have no idea. No. No, it's not. I know last time I tried, I didn't have enough. I went, I'm killing some guys. Fucking up some eyeballs in the atmosphere. man. Good news, two stinking glow sticks are stocked up. I know you were thinking like, man, we're always out of glow sticks. Need more glow sticks.
You talking like Torbeck?
Off and on! There are no hard rules yet. She gave me $2 and said Torbeck is interested. Which to Torbeck is so much money that Torbeck should probably just go all night long. Finally, someone values Torbeck. Torbeck is worth $2. That's $3 more than Torbeck's mom said.
Layer below the corruption, there's probably a bunch of money, rotten chunks,
Oh, probably.
lenses, you name it.
So,
It's down there.
but then who's going to grab these 7,000 shackles? No piggy banks, but boy howdy do I have fucking shackles. Me too, man. I'm just saying, I'm getting a lot of shackles. All right, all right.
Torbeck.
Bonesaw is ready. Gideon, what's a bonesaw?
I have 30 rotten chunks.
Nice. That'll be a good amount.
Blizzard right now.
Life keeps on making delicious Life-a-nade. Life keeps on making delicious Life-a-nade. Enough with the eyeballs.
Hang out the first one.
I'm trying to multitask because I'm a fool. Have to go further. Why is that a problem? Oh, you just did a deep sigh.
They're not clear.
Yeah, I'm not clear.
See what you were doing.
I said I have to go further. I'm going left. It said LMAO and I don't know why. The beauty of just enough delay for me to forget what I said 3 seconds ago. Uh-oh. La 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 la. Torbeck thinks Torbeck talks like this. Now Torbeck understands why everyone runs from Torbeck.
With our luck, it'll be on the other side.
Oh, probably. It's a 50-50 here, like. Either way. We won't know unless we try. And my last part. I mean, there's still room it could be here, I guess. Where did I get 13 more wood? Okay. Oh boy, I get to keep going! Oh, I'm now seeing ocean background. A thing I didn't know could spawn without an ocean. Kill the chases. I could be real stupid about finding. No, I couldn't get that far, could I? There's actually quite a bit of world left over here. Interesting that we get the ocean biome background. Not the music, but the background. Granted, it's a storm. I think that overwrites it, so... Gather up the drops. Hey, we got a tattered cloth.
I have a bunch of those on my...
Okay, then. I'm not helping. Whee! Well, this is pretty close to just saying we. I don't think it's here.
I'm going to the end.
You did it. Now we know the next spot we need sand. Use the mirror. Use the mirror, Luke. Umbrella hat. Umbrella hat.
That is all the platforms I got. I had some wood on me, and that's all.
Yeah.
All I have.
Well, we ruled it out. I know. You may clap. Please clap. I had to channel my Jeb Bush real quick. Yeah, no, we're getting ocean music here. This counts. I don't think it's an ocean biome at present, but that's the music. What do you think the speed run on Skyblock is down to already? Let's say 30 minutes just to make me sad. You're too slow! I leave you French fries to make your legs stronger! Are they helping? I clear the way for you. Ah! 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 Hello, welcome to game of don't go too slow, don't go too fast. Too slow, she whip you. Too fast, she shoot you. Look out. Can you survive the Kazi trials? Yes, I fart on you. You're downwind. Sniff my stank. Sniff it. Sniff the stank. Ooh, Shiverthorn. Huh? I
Because you fart on me.
fart on everyone. There's none. I'm an entertainer. You're just nasty. No. I just that wasn't me, unless you count in game. In which case, yeah, I've been farting. Apparently I can hold the jump button to get a little extra height with the fart in a jar. I don't remember that always being the case. I think that's new.
Legitimately, it smells like booty cheeks.
I don't know what smells like booty cheeks. Does your cat have a nasty butt?
Yeah, there is a this.
I'm putting the wedding stuff in your thing. Marry me. Sell the shackle, 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 sell the shackle. Add a couple. Maybe you'll change your tune if I tell you that I brought you some Shiverthorn? I got 3 Shiverthorn seeds.
I'm in the sugar thorn box.
Why are you mad at me?
I'm not.
Okay. I don't know. It looks like something exploded. Probably a fish. Another
Something for
raincoat.
you.
Okay. Hold on, I'm getting the seeds. This one. There you go, I planted it. What did you get, baby?
Burger.
A burger! McFries! Oh, yay! I just need a soda pop and I got a purple fat kid dinner! Oh. Joja Cola. Oh. I'm stretching my back. How are you? So, we got some Hellstone. We dismantled that stupid fucking dungeon. Just about that. We got you your armor upgrade. We got...
Okay, I'm gonna go make worm food.
Oh! You think it's time? What makes you so sure? You're Cassie and you know everything. Well, I can't argue with that. Putting my faith in your knowing everything and killing this flaming bird behind you. Just following after you, and there's a burning vulture going through the sky. Holy shit. I didn't know you were.
4 worm food.
Alright, well, let's try one and see what happens. Oh, you've got this. Its parts are still spawning behind it. We're killing them as fast as they appear. Nope.
Log out, log in.
Ugh. Okay, give me a minute. I'm gonna kill this guy out of obligation. Shit, die. Shit, die. Eat shit, die. Oh, this mace sucks. I thought I had Sun Fury. I'm thinking of the other fucking final gun, aren't I? Alright, if you want to log out and in, then we need to do that. Boy, I have another stupid raincoat. Let's hope it works. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the main menu of Terraria. Here's an achievement guide. If you grab a celestial object, it regresses the logo to what it was before the update. Behold, this will give you an achievement.
That's your head.
Why?
Yeah.
Ugh. Ooh. Do, do, do. Ooh. Ooh. How are we doing? How's everyone doing? How's all two of us doing? Oh, this is me. Exciting. The other one is Liz. It's just you and me now, Lizzie. Yeah. Beep-oo-doo. Grab.
Hey, what the shit? He went right through my neck.
Here, baby.
And landed on top of him and bullshit.
It's okay, baby. I brought him to you. You know what I think? We should kill it even faster. Oh.
There we go.
Got him?
Yeah.
Cool. You want to build it this time? It's up to you.
I almost prefer if we could do.
A worm? Does that work if we just do it again? Oh, you want to really farm it. Okay. Just a moment. Are you ready? I'm going to typo that. You're going to be very confused, as will I. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah, you're right. I can't make this stupider. Up. Down, down. Violence. Hello. Welcome to Prepared Otter. It's coming. How you doing, baby? I'd be making it less broke, if nothing else.
Yep.
You got more?
Yep.
You say you want to do it again?
Got one more food.
Is that a yes? Alright. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. But this is how this works. Alright. During a blood moon, zombies can open doors. These crap. Let's see this fucker get hit by lightning. I think that would be really fun. I just have a feeling. Excuse me. Oh, right here. Nice weather we're having. I like that we can't even see ourselves amidst the pile of viscera. Just taking a quick gut bath over here.
Yep.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright. So I have an idea. We have the villagers for an underground village now, right? What if we built an underground village and put the dungeon by that so we could work to the village and that would give us access to the dungeon and hell? Does that sound like a good plan? Shackle. The gamer hat. I met this weird looking fox one time, and then I became one. Rad! Girl after my own heart. Oh, you're in the wood box. There we go, you get the wood. Give me my wood, girl.
Do you want the normal dungeon stuff?
I don't know. The cursed dungeon stuff is what makes it. Unless we want to make the town out of the dungeon stuff as like a theme, I guess. It's an option. I think we should
I don't know, because I think that we could...
I mean, yes. Everything in life is so very confusing. And to farm more wood. Run an ad?
Why don't we find the shimmer first?
Okay. Well, then we're gonna have to go hella right.
Now, well, let me make a bunch of coffee.
I'm running a 3-minute ad. It'll affect nobody because Liz is a subscriber. So, haha! But I'm doing it and it'll disable pre-roll. So there's that. I know. I'm a genius. Oh, you already went. Da ba 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 ba.
Grab the dungeon stuff out of the box.
What?
Throw out the shimmer.
Oh. I hope you got a lot of platforms. So it's like easily a couple thousand blocks. Easily. It's a hike. It's the normal block. Oh, you have it. It's the wall. The wall's where it matters. The floor is its own thing. The gamer hat. It's in my head right now. I don't know why. Spooky, scary, everything. It's scary and it's scary. 400 raincoat zombies. Holy shit, they never stop.
Meteor's falling.
My thing does the same meteor's falling. I just have... Oh.
Meteor showers happen.
Is it in the background? You can see it or something?
Yeah.
These seem to happen a lot.
Well, they happen right after we fight the wormer. Ow!
Right. Well, good preparation for when we fight the Torch God. Practice, 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 practice. I'm dodging. Oh no, I'm not dodging. Oh fuck, I'm not dodging. Oh shit, I'm really not dodging.
off. I'm gonna die.
Eh, eh, eh. Hello?
Die.
Uh-huh. I think you're supposed to be outside during these. Oh, good, it went through the wall. Did you see that? That was awesome.
Just dropped you a strange brew and food.
Thanks. I have potion sickness. That was after healing. How you doing? Hanging out.
You seriously?
Don't know what you're talking about. No idea what you mean. Are you seriously what? Why are you running? Oh, I can't keep up with that. Bye, baby. Someone's idea doesn't seem so stupid now, does it?
Stop getting rid of the ceiling!
Not getting rid of it. I'm sliding
Stop it!
Why? You're making it thicker? Wow. Guys, she's making it thicker.
Make it longer.
Oh, you're gonna make it thicker and longer? Oh, baby, thank you. Oh, this is exciting. Like how it keeps alternating between storm music and just everything's chill. Oh, did it end? Oh my god, look how many sickles there are!
Let me have the money.
There's 8 fucking sickles, at least.
I can't pick them up, there's so many.
Oh my god. Mango! Mango, mango, mango! Mango, 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 mango! Here comes the pirate protecting some booty! Where's the mango? Where is the mango? Where's the mango? It's so many sickles. There's the mango, there is the mango, there's the mango. Oh, you know I'm gonna do them all? Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, yum. Alright, back to my wife.
Taking off my Hermes.
You want roller skates?
No, I can't place stuff.
The literal point of roller skates is you move forward at the exact rate that you place things. They're literally made for placing stuff. Don't tell my wife.
Ooh.
What, baby? What are you talking about? Nothing ever dies around me.
I'm just picking up all the money that my guys are dropping.
Hello? Wasn't the intended goal, but it is something that happened as a byproduct. It was less than a gold, so don't feel too bad. There's some gold ore in there, though. Good news, you're almost halfway.
Oh my god,
Yeah, it takes a while.
this sucks.
Yeah, it takes a while. How many platforms you got?
2,000.
Oh my god, okay. Oh, I messed it up. There we go. Alright, where is it?
Got the close to my teeth.
Let me take over for a bit.
You can just hold it down and go.
Yeah, you can. I mean, yeah. That's what you want the roller skate. Okay. Hold on. Did I put them? Oh, I put them on this. That's fun. Might want to swap your Hermes boots for them, but hey. Because that does seem to affect their move speed.
Far am I out?
A ways. Do. When you're on the roller skates, you should get a disco mix. You're about a couple thousand feet out by the looks of it. I got a ways to catch up.
Found it.
Found the shimmer?
I found it.
Nice, baby. Hello. Yeah, it doesn't have enough to be a biome, so it does that. That's not too far out. There's still a good chunk of world left over there. There's no grass here. Am I throwing the bad wall in to see if it becomes a nasty wall?
Mm-hmm.
Too bad, it gave it to you.
A nasty wall.
Okay, tossing this in, I'm tossing this in. Toss some dirt in, just see what happens. You know, pink... Well, the dirt remained dirt. What about cloud? Nothing. What did you do?
Ancient pink brick.
Meteorite. Shackle. How'd you get ancient pink brick?
I threw in the dungeon brick.
Oh. I made that happen. Just throwing random shit in. The zombie arm turned into another whoopee cushion in case you also like a fart in a jar. Grass seeds. Nothing to lose. Tattered cloth. Roller skates. Getting these back is not going to be fun. Okay. Acorn. Wood. Wood became dirt. Actually, in this case, that's not so bad. You just taking the obsidian?
No problem.
Suppose not. I don't think any of this is good to throw in. Magic mirror or anything? Yes? No! It unmade my mirror! Shit! Okay. I live here now. Oh. Oh, fuck me. Okay, thank you. Ooh, shimmer slime. They didn't become anything useful. Found a kite.
Yeah, I got a blue kite.
What if I put a kite right here? Right. Baby, will you love me even if I'm not mirrored?
Got your ears from there, I didn't.
I get most good things in life. Do the slimes that get shimmered do anything special? Let's see.
Hey, babe.
What? Gel?
Bye. You're the one that did something stupid.
I don't know what I was thinking. Oh. It's not my day. Simon's on a balloon. She just give me a balloon. Drop a balloon. It's gonna fart up the whole world, and then what? That's right, no ozone layer for you. And then you'll all be sorry. You'll all be sorry. Fart noise.
Farting.
Never! The farts will last forever. Because they fill up my map more. It helped me pass the time.
Okay, so
Hi.
Where do you want to build the underground?
We have two options here. We can build it down our elevator or under the shimmer. Those are the two I see being viable. We can also build our beach town by the shimmer. That way we're by the shimmer. I don't care. You stole the shimmer things?
No problem with that.
Yo, look what it does to the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Your wife is a klepto. I don't know what you want from me.
To steal my heart.
Done that already.
It makes me so happy.
Hey, where
What?
are you?
In the middle of nothing? Thanks. How'd you do that?
Made it.
Oh. Wow. Alright, I presented my two ideas. What did you think?
What are the options again?
I was thinking either under the shimmer or under us.
Under us.
Okay, I'm gonna need a lot of stone.
Stone, dirt, and wood on me.
That makes stone.
You only have 502 stone.
Well, there's only one thing to do. I'll make you some stone. Grindy ass episode. Okay. How limited. Well, this is going on. I'm hungry. Are you hungry? What would you like? To rhyme with schmasta?
Which is just plain with Parmesan?
Just plain with parm and then make the sauce tomorrow?
Yeah.
I guess so. Mind me while I'm here.
Basic slime.
I don't know, baby. I'm squishy and dumb. Oh. There's stuff going on with Yakuza, apparently. Stuff going on with Yakuza. Apparently they want to, hold on. They have not dismissed a voice actor who's openly admitted to sexual assault.
Cute.
Iwami 3 apparently removed something about Kiryu empathizing with a trans woman too. I don't know. Iwami 3 is the latest remake in the Yakuza series, despite being the remake of a game plagued with the sentiment of being, quote, the bad one. Teaming with promise to change fans' minds with a new coat of paint, the vibes around this remake have been rancid, not least because the widespread calls to remove the voice actor Teruyuki Teruyuki Kagawa. I did it right. Eyes went crossed. Since November, fans have been steadfast in an online movement, posting comments on Kiwami 3's promotional social media posts demanding that RGG Studio remove the actor from the cast as one of the game's big bads. Accusations he harassed 2 women and an alleged third in 2019. He had later admitted to forcibly kissing, groping, and removing the bra of one of the women.
Come on, man. I'm just using my stress ball.
Okay. The director has justified his decision to keep the casting because they felt he'd be believable as a creep. Fair enough. The character is a sleazy, persistent, militant Yakuza, right? Since he isn't an explosive character like Kanda, when we try to think of someone who makes you go, this guy's a creep, naturally it was Kagawa. That was the main factor. Brings a freshness to the scene that makes it feel really fun. I don't know. A lot going on there. A lot going on there. Make your own conclusions. That's where I'm at with that. Oh. Oh, they hired him after he was yeah, see, keeping him's already like, okay. Hiring him after. Yeah. I don't know the details of the trans woman arc thing, but I'll go back to the house for now, and I will, I guess, make some sketty or something. It's penne. Boil some penne. I don't necessarily need to get off. I just need to take a minute to probably go potty and stuff. Would be smart.
Oh, hey.
What?
You?
I'm in the house.
House.
Our house. Oh, you want me in the house? Sorry, I was in the main house. Oh boy. I'm already wearing that. I will put it in the box of screams. Oh, okay. I will. Should we wrap up for now? Okay. I guess we're wrapping up now that people have shown up.
How many people we got?
4, but we've had like 1 all night. It's just funny. Normally if I started this late, I'd be like, oh, no one's going to show up. And I'm like, maybe now's when people show up. I don't know what to expect. You all keep me guessing. I'll never know the truth. Oh, well. Okay. I'm starving. Like I'm starving. I gotta go to the bathroom. I need a break regardless. So one way or another. I mean, we got stuff done. It was just tedium. We're set for next time. We gotta make a dungeon in an underground town, right? That's a clear goal. And then it's preparing for the freaking wall of flesh. So this really makes the guy coming in and asking if we were post-dungeon yet very funny to me. Are you guys post-dungeon? I mean, we have to build our own, and I messed it up, so yes and no? Now I could be like, yeah, we're so post-dungeon, I'm carrying the dungeon around as a treat. I don't know. I wish the kites floated better when there wasn't wind, but I get it. It's nice you can do something with them. Okay. Yes, we have a goal for next time. I'm going to feed my wife. And me, I suppose. I should probably eat. I'm shrugging. You can't see it. Whatever. Thanks for checking in. I'll see you all next time. I am a goober. Goodbye.
Goodbye.